Needless to say that Germany has already gained the reputation of a trendsetter in the automobile industry long ago, back in the middle of the last century. However, nowadays, only a few people remember that initially, all the automotive products manufactured in this country were almost neglected. At the same time, all the attention was focused on such car giants as Ford. However, we must admit that such a dismissive attitude towards German cars at that time was quite justified. For example, the cars of the newly emerged Mercedes brand were known for their reliability from the very beginning. Still, German nature and its key qualities, persistence, precision, and pedantry have yielded some dividends. The emergence of the Audi automobile concern, well known today worldwide, became one of them. Today we are going to talk about the origins of this automobile giant and who was behind its creation. The brand's history goes back to the end of the 19th century, when in 1889, a brilliant German engineer named August Horch created his first car factory, marking the beginning of the future concern. August descended from a family of a common and poor blacksmith, so at 13, the boy even had to drop out of school to help his father. When August reached 16, he was already working in the Heidelberg wagon factory, just like any other adult. According to biographers, it was the hard work and challenging life that left its mark on the boy's character. At an early age, he realized that only determination, assertiveness, and hard work would allow him to escape from poverty and achieve something in this life. Since he was 16, August worked and saved money. Only at the age of 20, being almost an adult, he had the chance to resume his studies. We should also note that due to his persistence and desire, he passed the exams and entered the Saxon Engineering School, which offered him a job at the foundry in Rostock and later a position at the design office of the shipbuilding firm in Leipzig. However, history would probably never have discovered this young boy if it wasn't for an incident that happened one day. While living in Leipzig, Horch first saw Benz Velo cars, which were the first mass-produced four-wheeled cars in the world designed by Carl Benz. This bizarre mini car, as it can now be called, was a smaller version of the first four-wheel model Benz Victoria of 1893, a significant success for Carl Benz, who, after 3 years of work, still managed to create a reliable design of the front steering wheel mechanism. Benz Velo was mass-produced from 1894 to 1901. In the first 2 years, 134 trucks were produced, and about 1,300 trucks were produced till the end of production in 1901. It is the model Benz Velo patented in 1895 that was announced as the first standardized, in other words serial car model. At the time, the world had no idea what automobiles were, so everyone was curious about such a miracle once it appeared on the city streets. The boys gazed enviously at this engineering phenomenon. That's how August Horch, rushing home from work, got to know cars. However, while many onlookers were staring at the first Carl Benz car, our hero did not feel inspired by this invention. To be honest, we don't know much about that moment, only that August disliked the car so much that he even wrote a letter to Carl Benz asking to hire him. In his letter, August detailed all of the things he did not like about the car. He paid special attention to the car's design, adding that he knew how to improve it. Amazing, isn't it? That's how a random meeting with a car on his way home from work changed not only his life forever but the history of the automobile industry. Believe it or not, when Carl Benz read his letter and inquired about the young man, he immediately invited him to work for the company and a month later even offered him the position of head of the production, which Horch held for 3 years. Father Benz, that's how August called the brand's creator, and it's worth saying that Carl taught August a lot. The only thing Horch really revolted about was Benz's conservatism in everything. He wanted to introduce something new, to create, to develop, he wanted to try his own forces. Moreover, he already possessed much experience gained under the guidance of the automobile inventor. Still, Benz kept him from making headway. Eventually, all this made August consider the idea of his own car. Certainly, it was simply impossible to set up his own company without sufficient investment. Luckily for him, one of the rich industrialists heard about the determined young engineer and helped August open a company called August Ho RCH&C. As of 1899, the company had only 11 employees. But already in half a year the staff increased several times. So already in 1900, the first Horch car was produced, designed personally by Horch and being different from the Benz's cars. It had a 2-cylinder engine with 4 horsepower, running quietly and smoothly, whereas the designer tried his best to surpass his master. The engine was located at the front. A leather belt drove the rear wheels. The gearbox was interlocked with the main gear, something very challenging for the time. That was the beginning of the renowned brand, and that was the foundation of the future concern. Just 2 years later, another car was produced, the Horch Model 2, created together with engineer Fritz Seidel, so that the company could move from a small hangar to a larger factory in Reichenbach. The staff had already grown to 100 people. But August's ambitions were so big that production could not keep up with his innovative ideas, and in 1903 the company moved again, this time to Zwickau. Also in 1903, August managed to find extra money, and actively engaged in the development of his next car model. Thus, it took 4 years to produce new cars, but these 4 years paid off in a few months with the production of 307 copies of the Horch Z, equipped with a 22 horsepower engine. By this time, the company's capital had grown several times, and already totaled 525,000 Reichsmark. Still, August wasn't going to stop. In fact, the best car ads at that time were races, so every respectable manufacturer was simply forced to present his creation at these events. Since 1906, the Horch cars had been actively competing in races, but after losing the Prince Heinrich von Preußen, the races marked the onset of August's conflict with the shareholders. The latter considered Horch an adventurer, opposing his ideas for the company's development. Due to that controversy, the court ordered Horch to leave the company named after him. Indeed, he was simply thrown over the fence. That was how August Horch was left behind. He had nothing but experience and a great desire to create. For about 6 months, August did nothing. He was depressed. At the same time, he wrote down more and more ideas in his notebook during those long evenings. When that little notebook was almost full, he realized that no one would ever let him realize his ideas if he didn't try to take matters into his own hands. Thank God, by that time, he had already gained a good reputation and proper relationships. After borrowing the huge sum of 200,000 marks from friends and business partners needed for the new venture, Horch, whose last name means listen, worked hard on a name for his new company. As often happens, a simple coincidence did the trick. One day a schoolboy, the son of one of the engineer's friends, simply declined the Latin verb autare, also meaning to listen, in his presence. I guess, as you have already realized, the name of the new company was made up, being a synonym for the word Horch. Audi, from Latin, is also translated as listen. Thus, the new company was created just a few months later in 1910, in the town of Chemnitz, under the name Audi Automobile Werke GmbH. In all circumstances I strove to build only big and good cars, from first-class material, Horch said as he set up business at the new location. And he didn't deceive. The first car, released under the Audi brand model AU22, was equipped with a 4-cylinder engine, working volume of 2,612 cubic centimeters, and developed 22 horsepower. In just 1 year, Audi cars were already participating in races and winning prizes. This period marked the introduction of such models as the C1435, produced until 1925, as well as the D and E ranges. Up to the crucial year of 1914, Horch was actively engaged in design work. However, relations with shareholders were going badly once again. However, the advantage of this situation was the fact that even before the war August Horch managed to take administrative positions in city structures, also becoming a member of the board of Feldkraftwagen, a company engaged in the sale of military vehicles. With confidence under his belt, Horch moved to Berlin. As he said at the time, the heart of Germany was beating there. The source was there, and I wanted to be at the source. However, even that did not help, and history repeated itself. While he was in Berlin, the shareholders in Zwickau excluded Horch from direct management of Audi, keeping him only as a member of the supervisory board. Still, it didn't do any harm to the designer's reputation in the automobile world. As early as 1922, the Technische Universität Braunschweig awarded Horch an honorary doctorate so that he became a frequent guest at various public events. Although he never returned to car design again, even 8 years later, in 1930, the following announcement appeared in a special periodical: in emergency cases, consult a Dr. Engineer Horch for advice. So, what happened to Audi? In 1928, the brand was bought by the motor manufacturer DKW. And in 1931, the car with front-wheel drive DKW F1 made its debut. This model was the exact opposite of all those cars produced under the Horch management. First, the global economic crisis made cars with a large engine capacity no longer in demand. Then the head of Audi commissioned the development of a compact car with front-wheel drive, thus creating DKW F1. The economic crisis had a significant impact on the further development of the company as well. The sanctioned municipal bank, an official creditor of several companies, including Audi, was worried about its significant investments. As a result, one important and global decision was made. On June 29, 1932, all Audi, Horch, Wanderer and DKW plants were united into one concern, Auto Union AG. The well-known four rings, which mean the merger of four companies, became the symbol of this concern. At first, the Audi logo was used only on racing cars, but each company produced common cars under its own brand and used their own emblems. However, shortly the logo appeared on all the produced vehicles. Following this global merger, the concern became the second manufacturer in Germany in a matter of days, where each company was involved in a different branch of the automobile industry. For example, Audi dealt with sports cars, DKW with motorcycles, Horch with large and richly trimmed cars, and Wanderer with the mid-sized luxury segment. Well, we're getting to 1944. As you can imagine, the World War II made some adjustments to the concern. By early 1944 almost all of the factories had been bombed, and there is even a perception that during the heavy bombing the management of the concern continued to exploit its workers. According to a 2014 report commissioned by the company, Auto Union was morally responsible for the 4,500 deaths that occurred at Leibniz. However, I don't know how much of this data is true. But the fact remains. Ultimately, by the end of the war it turned out that most of the plants had been destroyed, the equipment dismantled and transported out of the country. The company avoided closure thanks to the fact that some of the equipment was moved to Bavaria shortly before the outbreak of large-scale hostilities. There, the production of motorcycles and all components was underway. The company was officially registered again only by the end of the 40s, with the appearance of the first post-war car DKW F89P Master Class, and by the end of the 50s, the concern sold 88% of its shares to Daimler-Benz AG. Still, after a couple of years, the same company bought out all of its rights. However, the financial situation of this company left much to be desired, so in 1964, Auto Union became part of Volkswagen. Back then, Audi wasn't much known. No one was associating a car with this brand. However, it was so until the production of the Audi car range was resumed under the leadership of the new manager. In fact, Audi was secretly revived from ashes. Once Audi was absorbed by Volkswagen, all the power was directed only to the development of Volkswagen cars. But the former Audi designer Ludwig Krauss, who was already working for a new company, was secretly developing a new model. It is worth saying that when Volkswagen found out about it, they did not interfere with his work. This is how the Audi 100, the middle-class car, which would soon become a real legend, appeared. The car was offered as a 2- and 4-door sedan and fastback. It became the ancestor of a whole family of cars. All of its representatives retained the front-wheel drive system and longitudinal arrangement of the engine. These cars were extremely popular not only in Germany, but also in the USA, where they were imported in huge quantities. In particular, after the release of the second generation. The model featured excellent dynamic performance, practicality, and high comfort. However, Audi regained its confidence only in 1969, after its merger with NSU Motorenwerke AG. In 1972, we got the Audi 80, a compact car that shared the platform with the Volkswagen Passat and was available as a sedan or universal. Later on, a luxury version of this car, the Audi 90, also entered the market. The model got McPherson front suspension and telescopic shock absorbers. This car was available with a line of gasoline engines with output from 54 to 100 horsepower. In 1973, this model won the European Car of the Year title, leaving behind the Alfa Romeo Alfetta and Renault 5. In 1974, the design department of the brand was headed by Ferdinand Piëch, who introduced the 5-cylinder engine, turbocharging technology, and all-wheel drive in passenger cars. On March 3, 1980, at the Geneva Motor Show, Audi presents a sensational new product, the first passenger car with all-wheel drive quattro. The idea for an all-wheel drive system in a passenger car dates back to 1976, when the VW Iltis all-terrain vehicle was tested. Its excellent handling on snowy roads gave the engineers the idea to put the same system on the Audi 80. 1 year later, the finished design project appeared, and the car was named Quattro, which means 4 in Italian. At first, the car was ridiculed and criticized for its complex design and heavy weight, but the Quattro began to set records at competitions, winning many trophies. Moreover, the company soon released a win-win commercial, where the model climbs a ski jump. In response to skeptical claims that the car was pulled up with a winch, the company repeated the lift, and demand for its model reached all-time highs. In 1985, the company changed its name to Audi AG, and continued to innovate, resulting in a fully galvanized body, turbocharged gasoline engines, direct injection diesel engines, improved aerodynamics, aluminum bodywork, as well as powerful 8 and 12-cylinder engines. In 1990, the company introduced the redesigned Audi 100, which first came with a 2.8-liter six-cylinder V-shaped engine that developed 174 horsepower. It was considered the lightest power unit in its class. In 1993, the Audi Group was formed. In addition, the British Cosworth Technology, the Italian Automobili Lamborghini, and the Spanish Seat were absorbed. The next major change in the model lineup came in 1995, when the A4 replaced the Audi 80. It was based on the same platform as the fifth-generation Volkswagen Passat. In terms of dimensions, it was almost the same as the model which came to replace it, but received a number of innovations. The car was distinguished by improved directional stability and high indices of passive safety. Also in 1994, the Audi 100 was replaced by the A6, which was classified as a business class. It was equipped with gasoline engines, including twin turbocharged, diesel power units, as well as all-wheel or front-wheel drive systems. As for the Audi TT Sports Coupe, it was first shown at the Geneva Motor Show in 1998, and a year later the Roadster. The car was equipped with front or all-wheel drive, and since the second generation, turbocharged engine, and automatic transmission. It is also worth noting that since 1994, the brand has been rapidly gaining a new premium segment, presenting to the world a representative sedan Audi A8. The cars of this brand quite quickly gained the hearts of millions of fans around the world, and not just for no reason. First of all, for the increased comfort, good noise isolation, reliable, not rotting body, and of course, reliability. Even nowadays on the roads it is possible to see a lot of representatives of the golden generation of 90s without a single sign of rust. Thanks to the well-coordinated work of Audi designers, in the 1990s, the brand finds a second wind. The same can be said about Ducati motorcycles. The brand also moved under the reliable wing of Audi. The early to mid-2000s was a good time for the company. That's when in 2005 the first off-road Audi Q7 with permanent all-wheel drive system, 6-speed automatic transmission and optional electronic shifting assistant was presented. In 2007, the company introduced the Audi R8, a two-seat, center-mounted sports car based on the Lamborghini Gallardo platform. It uses an aluminum monocoque and an all-wheel drive system. It was also the world's first production car with fully LED headlights. From the moment the first Audi car was produced until today, the production of cars is increasing year by year, and since 2010 it has exceeded 1 million units per year. Besides, the model range of Audi is very extensive, and it is represented by executive-class cars, racing cars, supercars, crossovers, and of course the most common sedans. Anyway, even small Audi cars are not just cars. Today it is an indicator of success and taste of its owner. I think you would also find it interesting to know a few facts about this brand. For those who do not know, Audi was the first company that began to conduct crash tests. The first crash test was carried out back in 1938. Also, at the beginning of its way, the premium cars Audi Horch were extremely popular among affluent Germans. Even the Nazi leader Adolf Hitler often made trips to the occupied German territories on the beautiful and strong Horch 930. Another interesting fact is that despite its conservatism and high price, Audi cars are very popular among young people under 30 years old. Also, Audi was the first car in the world to reach a speed of 200 km per hour at a distance of 1 kilometer. At the moment there are over 90,000 people working in the concern, and cars and motorcycles are officially represented in more than 120 countries, with 17 Audi production sites located in 13 countries. But even in spite of these staggering production volumes and other innovations, the development of new models and future environmental technologies is still the focus of the group's activities. Meanwhile, the power and quality that brand founder August Horch already demanded of his machines is reflected in every vehicle of the brand today. Audi's style is based on refined rationalism, car design is emphasized in a classic manner, that is, functionality prevails over efficiency, even in appearance. There is nothing superfluous. In fact, probably that's why many Audi fans like it, people with high incomes, and high distinctiveness. As for the company founder's father, once August left the company, he, as one of the patriarchs of the German automotive industry, was favorably treated by the Nazi elite. He still served on the board of the ministry, skillfully performing his role. Moreover, Horch actively advocated limiting the importation of American cars. And in 1942, 74-year-old Horch was elected vice president of the Supervisory Board of Auto Union. But the concern, as well as the Reich, did not have long to live by that time. Despite the fact that August was well known in Hitler's Germany and held important positions, he never joined the National Socialist Party, and apparently, this saved him from prosecution after the war. In his quiet retirement, Horch remained proud until his last days that he had given a great start to such an automobile giant. The father of Audi ended his life on February 3, 1951, in Bavaria, quietly, without any extra grandstanding. Anyway, both brands owe their birth to Horch, and they are far from being forgotten. Horch cars are among the most famous vehicles of the 30s. Well, the Audi brand is still alive, although its cars are not built in Zwickau, but in Ingolstadt. Still, Audi has an excellent reputation around the world, and I think this is the best memory of August Horch, a talented designer, whose name will forever remain in the history of automotive engineering. What do you think about Audi cars, and have you ever had a chance to drive one? Write your opinion in the comments. We hope you liked the video. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on your way out. This will only take 1/10 of a second but surely pump the YouTube algorithm to bring our videos to the top. See you in the next video.